Welcome to Week 8 Start Sit and slash Sleeper Show. Travis Sumter here, TJ Sumter 55. You find me on Facebook, X, however you want to call it. Anywhere, that you do your socializing. Hi, what's up? One guest here so far. Hi, hello, how you doing? Yeah, getting started a little late today. If we have any start set questions, we'll go ahead and we'll get those answered. If not, we'll just go ahead and I'll just start talking about some deep sleepers that I really like, or some potential guys that could surprise today that could go off in games. And I had one question come in early this morning from a friend that was talking about starting DeAndre Hopkins. Even on a short week, I think it's okay to start DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think anything suggests that he has totally fallen off yet. He his targets per route run is still relatively what you would want it to be out of a top 15 wide receiver in the NFL. I think you could go ahead and fire him up even on the short week. We've seen what Juju Smith-Schuster did on the short week with Patrick Mahomes putting up over 20 points in his first week back with the Chiefs. I think Hopkins could have a solid floor this week of at least 10 points, if not more. Getting into the end zone will definitely make the difference in that game. Otherwise, I'll kind of just start running them down. The Packers and Jaguars today. My sleeper that I really like today is D'Ernest Johnson, as I feel like the game script-wise that the Jaguars could be playing from behind a lot today. And with that being said, D'Ernest Johnson and playing from behind should equal a lot of targets out of the backfield for D'Ernest Johnson. Probably making him a viable play today, especially if you're pretty desperate for a running back throw-in at the last moment. We had the Arizona Cardinals and the Miami Dolphins next on the slate. I don't really like any sleepers for the Dolphins. We should have Tua back today. So you can go ahead and fire up Tyreek and fire up Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle has yet to find the end zone. It's been over a year, I think, now since he's found the end zone. But the Miami Dolphins offense has looked absolutely atrocious without Tua under center for them. I think they're going to be just fine today. Achane should be back today. Should be just fine. Like the whole offense should go ahead and be starts for you and firing up. As far as the Arizona Cardinals are concerned, the Miami Dolphins are decently tough against the run. So I do like Michael Wilson as a potential sleeper today. If you have to, you're probably someone you could still probably pluck off your waiver wire if it's not very deep, or just a desperation play at wide receiver in your flex position this morning. Next on the slate, we have the New York Jets taking on the New England Patriots. Not really a sleeper in this game that I truly was digging in and liking out of this game. We could see some more. We could see some more run spread throughout that backfield on the Jets side of the ball, especially if they're playing with the lead. But I actually think this game is going to be probably a lot closer than people probably think. With that being said, I really like what I'm seeing from Hunter Henry as of late. I think he's going to go ahead and fire up in your tight end position or even a flex position if you're desperate enough. In 10-team leagues, he's probably still available as well. Gonna have a monster day. Ravens and Browns. So I don't. Not really anybody on the Ravens side of the ball that I think could really surprise us today. We could see, I feel like maybe I think Njoku's a surefire up today. With we now have Jameis Winston under center, and with that being said, I really like Elijah Moore or Jerry Jeudy. One of those two guys to maybe kind of emerge with Jameis Winston under center. We know that Jameis Winston will throw the ball into double coverage, triple coverage. It doesn't matter. I don't know who he's going to favor more. I think, in my opinion, I think he's going to probably favor Jerry Jeudy a little bit more in that game. I think Jerry Judy's a little bit more of a route specialist that can. I think Jameis Winston will probably focus on him just a little bit more. So Jerry Jeudy is a desperation play for you as well if you need to fire him up. Hey, what's up, Billy? About 400 yards. Nothing ever shocks me with Jameis Winston, especially if a team especially in this game, if we expect them to play from behind nearly the whole game, they could be airing it out definitely a ton. It's probably another one of those games that I think is going to be a little closer than what people expect. I think I have Jameis Winston for 227 and a touchdown in this game, which is, that's okay. That's not anything to gloat about. But he's probably going to throw an interception as well. So most of your leagues, it's probably only about 13, 14 points. So, he's got in a super flex, if you got to throw him in, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, especially if we know what kind of ceiling that he can provide in a game. Then the next game we have on the slate, we have the Eagles-Bengals. In that game, and it just announced they was kind of looking doubtful throughout the week or through the end of the week here, but T. Higgins is going to be out for this game. And then I think we're going to fire up Yoshi Vash, or Yoshi as we like to call him. Yoshi has gotten double-digit fantasy points, and I believe, or he's averaged that in every game that T. Higgins has been out for. The Eagles secondary has not been the best. They're a little tougher to run on. In a game where I really think both these teams could probably air it out, or at least be playing in a little bit of a back and forth game. I'm definitely taking the over on this game, as we have two stud QBs behind center. Yoshi Vash, I believe, is probably going to be a benefactor of the absence of T. Higgins today. I wouldn't be surprised if we got Yoshi Vash in the end zone once again this week without T. Higgins in the lineup. Very next game on our slate, we have the Colts and we have the Texans. With the Colts and the Texans game, somebody I really like was just kind of a waiver to pick up for a lot of people last week was Xavier Hutchinson. Now, one of the reasons why I really love Xavier Hutchinson in this game, especially, is because every game about that we've had Nico Collins play against the Colts and playing in that X position. The Texans have really exposed them, and I really like that. With that being said, I really like Xavier Hutchinson in that game this week to possibly put up a decent floor in this game and maybe even find an end zone. Would not shock me whatsoever. Are you that boy? Yeah, the Titans and the Lions is the very next game on the slate. Titans are really tough against the run. They have been decent against the pass. One of their biggest things is their offensive side of the ball has been atrocious. We did free up DeAndre Hopkins from that offense, so maybe Calvin Ridley gets a little more involved, but it's not really looking likely. They just ruled out Will Levis once again this week, so Mason Rudolph will be getting a start again this week. On the Lions side of the ball, someone we really haven't heard from fantasy-wise this year so far has been Sam Laporta. I think Sam Laporta could actually maybe find his way in the end zone today, maybe have a decent game. the Titans defense is tough all around, but it's definitely going to be tough to come by points in that game. The Lions running backs in trouble. I don't know if they're necessarily in trouble. David Montgomery is definitely going to get his when it comes to the red zone touches. That he's gonna probably get the goal line touches and probably find his way into the end zone. He does just about every single week. He's almost a surefire thing to put in your lineup every single week. That's going to find some way to get his get the ball into the end zone. Jahmyr Gibbs is the big play guy. I don't know exactly how this game's going to roll out. I just know that the Titans are tough on their defensive side of the ball, and Jared Goff could find himself under a lot of pressure today to get rid of that ball often and early. That's why I look for him to possibly, if Amon Ra's kind of more or less covered up today, I kind of look for like Sam Laporta to kind of be that second guy to get open. And I think he's finally going to come back and kind of show his way back from that injury that he had early on in the season. McBride or Ferguson. Out of those two, I think I'm going to go. So we got McBride against the Dolphins, and we have Ferguson tonight against the 49ers. I think I'm going to go Ferguson in that game. I really like Ferguson in that game. I know McBride's been kind of on fire, but the Miami Dolphins defense is a tough defense, and it's kind of really of a pick 'em. But I really think Ferguson would be the one to probably find his way into the end zone tonight, especially with the absence of Brandon Cooks still in the offense, and the fact that the Cowboys could not seem to move the ball on the ground whatsoever. They're even firing up Dalvin Cook tonight to try to get something on the offensive side of the ball moving in the run game. They just can't seem to get it going. I just think Ferguson's the number 2 in that offense right now, and he should be a big benefactor of that tonight against the 49ers that do have a pretty beatable defense because they've been facing a lot of injuries on both sides of the ball. Devonta Smith or Tank Dell, PPR. That's a real tough one. I know Devonta Smith really had a letdown week last week. I think he only had like 3 catches. I look for Devonta Smith to find the end zone today against the Bengals. I was kind of talking to a friend earlier this morning. I said Devonta Smith. I said he's looked just fine. It's the peripherals are there for him, and I look for this to be a high-scoring game today between the Eagles and the Bengals. So if I'm chasing that, that's probably what I'm going for. We know that Houston always gets big plays against the Indianapolis Colts, which I think this game, I think maybe the Colts Houston game is going to be a little more separated than probably what's projected out there. I think Houston can easily run away with this game pretty easily, and if that's the case, I look for the one to be more competitive on the Eagles side of the ball. So that's kind of where I'm rolling with that. Like I think the game's just going to be a little more competitive on the Eagles side. So that's why I'd fire up Devonta Smith, especially if it's a big back and forth game. Should I start JSN or Tank Dell? So we do have the options of, or we do have DK Metcalf out against the Buffalo Bills or Tank Dell. So JSN, I think I think JSN is probably. I'm probably starting Tank Dell. I'm probably sitting JSN in that situation. I do feel like the Bills secondary is definitely good enough to kind of hold JSN in check for this game, especially if you're. I don't know if they're going to continue playing him in the slot in this game, or they're going to kind of move him outside and how they're going to roll that out. But I think Tank Dell would be the big one because that's kind of where my next thing was going with Tank Dell is that maybe the big play happens. I just don't know how much we can really trust JSN against the Buffalo Bills because I think the Seattle's game plan going into the game is going to primarily be to try to run the ball as much as they can on the Buffalo Bills to see if they can't kind of try to hold the lead and kind of play it safe from there. Without DK Metcalf, I feel like their passing game is kind of limited. So that's kind of where I'm holding there. So another game we kind of got on the slate is Atlanta versus Tampa Bay. Now, out of that game, I don't really like anybody on the Atlanta side of the ball as a potential throw-in. I do know. I guess you could fire up. You could fire up the backup running back for Atlanta as Tampa Bay is absolutely getting crushed on the ground. So I look for today to Tyler Algier could possibly have a big game today. We've seen what they did a couple weeks ago. So like on the Tampa Bay side of the ball, though, is where I kind of find the sleeper this week, and that's kind of in that game. I really like Sterling Shepard. He's been a proven receiver. He's played a majority of his career in the slot, so he's kind of stepping right into that Chris Godwin role potentially, with Jalen McMillan on the outside and Trey Palmer on the outside as well. So I really like Sterling Shepard to go right into that Chris Godwin role and possibly be a fantasy usable wide receiver week in and week out for the rest of the season potentially. So he's definitely someone that should be added into your league, especially if it's a deeper league, a 12-team league. If you have 7 or 8 bench spots, like he's definitely someone that should be there at least. But he's definitely somebody that I would look for. I think he's definitely playable today, but he's definitely like a sleeper play as well today.
Alexa, please track on the Korean store.
Going on to the next game, the Saints and the Chargers. Saints are another team that's been kind of getting exposed week in and week out on the ground. We've seen Javonte Williams have a big game against them this past week. I look for that kind of trend to continue. And I also look for Kamani Vidal to maybe kind of have himself a day today as well. He could also find the end zone along with J.K. Dobbins. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. Kamani Vidal had a decent game today as well. We've seen what Tampa Bay did to them 2 weeks ago as well. So like they've just been been run on week after week. So it's not going to surprise me if Kamani Vidal also has himself a big day today, especially if the Chargers kind of get out ahead of the Saints and play with the lead. I feel like if anything, the defensive side of the ball for the Chargers, they're fired up and they're coming to play today. So like I feel like the Chargers are going to definitely run away with that game and win. On the Bills and Seahawks game that we have next on the slate, we were kind of talking about it earlier with JSN, and we have Tyler Lockett, but Jake Bobo would be the one to kind of step into that DK Metcalf role. He's had some decent times from here and there where he's found his way into the end zone when you kind of least expect it. Like he's definitely a red zone presence when he's on the field for Geno Smith. So he's like kind of a desperation heat today if you wanted to kind of throw him into your lineup as well. So then after that, we had the Bears and we had the Commanders. Bears and Commanders game. There's no one I really truly like on the Commander side of the ball as a possible throw-in today. We could see something happen with maybe Noah Brown or Zach Ertz today, kind of getting involved. Other than that, I really like on the Bears side of the ball. I really like Rome Odunze to be possibly fired up today and started. Rome Odunze coming off the bye week. This is what we usually see, and it's even without the bye week, it's kind of the usual time of year where we see a rookie wide receiver kind of explode onto the scene. So I think Rome Odunze is a fire up against the Washington Commanders defense that has been a little bit better than what I expected against the past, but I really look for the Bears to kind of play their defense and Caleb Williams to do his thing. I feel like this game could be a real blowout today. So like I definitely like Rome Odunze breakout game today. Is Chubb a must start? I don't know if Chubb is a must start against the Ravens. I think if anything, I probably fade him a little bit. I don't think he's a must start. I think there's a lot. There's probably 30 other options I'd probably rather go with than Nick Chubb this week against the Baltimore Ravens. This is just not an ideal environment for Nick Chubb to be started in. If anything, I mean, you're gonna hope that they gets the red zone touches and gets close to the goal line in that fashion. I mean, maybe if Jameis Winston can get the ball rolling and they get moving with the offense, like maybe Nick Chubb could have himself a decent day at the goal line. But I'm not going to be one that kind of depends on that this week against the Baltimore Ravens. Chiefs and Raiders is next on the slate. So the Raiders side, there's not really anybody that I truly like on the Raiders side of the ball this week. Alexander Madison's been a pretty good week in and week out for the last few weeks for the Raiders, but the Chiefs have the number one defense against the run, so that kind of scares me a bit for both any running backs on the Raiders side of the ball, Zamir White or Alexander Madison. I think Brock Bowers probably continues to have his streak of good games today. Other than that, for the Chiefs side of the ball, I know he hasn't been really fantasy relevant today or as of yet, but we kind of talked about him at the top of the show. But I think if you had DeAndre Hopkins, I don't think you could do worse than putting him in your lineup today. I think he's going to provide a solid floor of at least 10 points for your team today. We've seen what Juju Smith-Schuster did for him. Or what Patrick Mahomes did with Juju Smith-Schuster off a short week after signing him and bringing him in, and then he ended getting 20 points. So it would not surprise me at all if Andy Reid kind of drew up some red zone play for DeAndre Hopkins to get him the ball in the end zone today. There's always something, and I always say this every single time. There's always something with Andy Reid and trying to show off his shiny new toys. And I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be any different today. I guarantee there's at least 5 or 6 plays that Andy Reid has drawn up just specifically to utilize DeAndre Hopkins today. And like I said, the peripherals are still there for DeAndre Hopkins, and I think he's just going to have a decent day. If not, he might explode for a really big day. So I think he's like someone that hasn't been really fantasy relevant, but someone that you could definitely probably fire up today as well. Next game on the slate is as the day games go on. We had the Panthers versus the Broncos. There wasn't really anybody I really like on the Panthers side of the ball, mostly because Bryce Young is back under center and Dalton's out, Deontay Johnson's out. I think maybe Xavier Legette would be, I don't know. Maybe he kind of do something today, but I don't trust anything against that Broncos tough defense. They're probably going to totally slam the door shut on anything the Panthers are going to be able to do on the offensive side of the ball. There's probably going to be a lot of punting in this game on both sides of the ball. But I look for the Broncos' run attack to continue against the Panthers. One player that I really like on the Broncos side of the ball as a potential sleeper today would be Jaleel McLaughlin or Audric Estime. And one of the reasons why I really like either one of those guys is because almost every backup running back game in and game out has at least been scoring against the Panthers because every team that's been playing the Panthers has pretty much been rolling with the lead every single game. So like whenever teams are rolling with the lead every single game like that, like usually, backup running backs are finding their ways into the end zone or getting a lot of work late in games because of, the starters are kind of sitting out, kind of taking a breather. There's no need to play all these starters if you're playing with the lead like this. So I really like Jaleel McLaughlin, or you can even add Audric Estime as potential deep sleeps. If it's kind of a Hail Mary throw, but I know there's a lot of injuries been kind of coming your way, this last couple of weeks, especially this last week. We kind of had a few guys go down, but and you throw in the bye weeks into that, so definitely it could be worse than throwing Jaleel McLaughlin into your lineup. Then we have the Sunday night game. We have the Cowboys and the 49ers. So the Cowboys game, I think Turpin is someone to kind of watch out for this week on the Cowboys side of the ball as a potential deep sleeper. Otherwise, for kind of the guy that I probably really like today, is probably, you could probably, a lot of people are going to talk about Ricky Pearsall, kind of coming in and kind of replacing what Brandon Ayuk did, and that for that offense. Now that Brandon Ayuk's out for the season, and why I do think that is going to be true coming down the stretch in your fantasy football season. I think Jacob Cowling is someone that you should also keep your eye on. In your deeper leagues, he should probably definitely be added as a speculative ad. I think they might get him more involved in the offense this week, especially they're coming off a week where they didn't have really Deebo Samuel practicing a lot this week as well. So Deebo Samuel could be out there more, maybe kind of running the ball in the backfield and doing some other things in the offense where I feel like Jacob Cowling, they could definitely get involved more in the game, probably more than people think. He's probably a really deep sleeper in desperation throw-in, and some lineups today as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was kind of a guy that showed out. He's been really good on their special team side of the ball, so I really like him today. And then we have the Monday Night Football game with the Giants and the Steelers. I'm going to kind of give you two for that game. For the Giants, I really like Tyrone Tracy to kind of continue his lead in the backfield. We seen 2 weeks ago where he kind of had, I think he had a 20-point game in your full point PPR leagues. I look for that to kind of continue for him, especially in a game with the Steelers that the Giants should heavily be playing from behind him. At least that's what we're kind of expecting in that game. Tyrone Tracy is someone that's really good with the pass catching role. He was wide receiver in college, so like him getting the ball in his hands quite a bit in this game, especially if they're playing from behind, like I said. So like he's definitely like someone that you could definitely throw in in a flex position or in your starting running back position, especially if you're really beat up at the position. Not definitely someone that I like as a throw-in today. If you have to throw him in, especially with facing injuries or what so have you coming down the stretch here. On the other side of the ball, I really like what I've seen. I guess there's a couple things you could really add here. Jaylen Warren getting more involved in the offense the last couple of weeks. They're getting closer to a 50-50 split between him and Najee. So, like, Jaylen Warren is a potential throw-in, for a desperation play. Otherwise, I really like Calvin Austin. We've seen what George Pickens did, but honestly, outside of that, everybody in that offense was kind of getting the ball spread around to him from Russell Wilson. Calvin Austin was getting hit wide open on plays. We've seen what he did a lot with the Washington or Darnell Washington as well. We didn't really see a lot of Freiermuth, but that could change this week as well. I think out of that grouping, I really like Calvin Austin though this week as a throw-in or as someone that desperation throw-in for this week as well. Otherwise, we don't have any more questions here. I'll just kind of wrap things up. Just say thank you guys for tuning into this week 8 Start Sit Sleeper Show. Hopefully you got all your lineups set, and hopefully you guys get the win today. Thank you. Bye.